All right, everybody, welcome to WRUU LP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings Community Radio with Global Soul, and I am your host, Adam Messer. This is my show where I interview authors, artists, and entertainers, and my lovely guest today is Laura Loup. Am I saying that correctly?
Yes, Laura Loup.
All right.
Like soup.
Yeah. So Laura is a very creative person, very talented artist, and you have your new book out, right?
Yes.
And your new book is called The Audacity.
Came out August 6th.
That's awesome.
Which is Lucille Ball's birthday. Actually, I found out after publishing, and Lucille Ball does factor into the book a little bit, so it was interesting.
Awesome. Everybody, just a heads up. I know you've been listening and tuning in. I wanted to let you know I have a new home for my podcast. And if you go onto my Facebook page, it's Facebook author Adam Messer. There's a link right there. You can also get on my webpage, adammesser.net, and I have a link there to the new podcast home, which our show today, Laura, is going to be on the new podcast home. So
Awesome.
I changed over because I wanted to have some more creative control over my content. I've been using Anchor FM, which I love Anchor FM. It's great for the platform, and it's free, but they don't allow you to have control over, like, for example, most of my listeners are on Apple Podcasts, and we're going to talk about that too. We're going to talk about Apple.
Okay.
We're going to talk about the iPod and iPhone and all that, but switched it over, and I wanted to have more control over my show. So I've actually submitted my new podcast home to Apple Podcasts. That's going to be the first place that I'm going to host it. And then I'm going to, do like the other ones like Stitcher and, all the other ones. So, but those are my announcements so far, everybody. So today's show is all about Laura and her book and her creative stuff. And you have a shop here in town.
I do, yes.
All kinds of cool stuff. So, Laura, my son, Sebastian Messer, he is a musician. He's got a band called Krieger, and they're a thrash metal, death metal band. So he plays music for me on my show. So he's gonna play a little bit of music for us, and then we are gonna talk all about your everything.
Okay. I'm an open book.
Yeah.
So
awesome.
is this.
So here we go. All right. Let me mic you up, Sebastian.
I was wondering what the guitar is for. I like it.
All right, Bass, take it away. Whoa, that was pretty funky there, Sebastian. What's the drill on that one today? Tell me about it.
I don't know. I'm just noodling.
Just noodling. Awesome. So anyway, I'm getting ready to post a video on TikTok. I have been loving TikTok. I don't know why. I had a video today that had 7,500 views.
Oh my gosh.
So I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
Why not?
That's great.
Why not? Laura, tell us, I know you were born, you grew up, but tell us, the longer version of you.
The longer version of me.
Yeah.
Okay, well, as you said, I was born. That was a correct assumption there.
You weren't raised from the dead.
No, I hatched out of an egg, actually.
Well, I mean, you do write about aliens, so I didn't know if there was an undercover,
I do often feel like an alien.
I do too, so don't feel bad. Maybe that's why we connected. So alien.
No, I did grow up in Clearwater, Florida, around those Scientologists. So really, who knows?
I didn't know Scientologists were down there.
Oh yeah. Clearwater, Florida is a hub for Scientology. So.
Really? I don't want to say anything disparaging against Scientologists because even though I have no clout or recognition or fame, I don't want to have anything misconstrued that I have any problems with Tom Cruise or any of those guys. I love all y'all.
Not a time for beefs, no, but just fun fact, grew up around that sort of thing. And the beaches, of course. And I think
love Florida.
Yeah, I love growing up on the beaches. It was a really nice way to spend your summers, really. So I think that factored into a lot of my creativity. I like large bodies of water. I like beaches. My second book actually starts on the beach setting.
That's cool.
Yeah, so I grew up there, went to Christian school for a really long time, and then switched out to public school, which was quite the change for me. I learned a lot of different things in public school than you did in Christian school. And then
funny story about that.
Yeah.
My parents, I went to public school 1st through 6th grade, and then my parents put me in private school,
You did
Catholic
backwards.
school. Yeah, 7th, 8th, 9th, and 10th grade. And 11th and 12th grade, I went back to public school, and I went to an all boys school, 9th and 10th grade. Love it, Elder High, awesome, but I really hated going to an all boys school. Just one of those things. I was like,
Yeah.
And then high school, junior and senior year, I wasn't really attached to that school. Had no alma mater with them. Dixie Heights High School is where I graduated from, and I have a lot of friends from there, I guess, or whatever. But so I did my 4 years.
Oh my gosh, yeah. It was, there's a lot of stuff I had to take with a grain of salt at that school, that's for sure. I got in trouble because I did yoga.
Yoga?
Yeah. I came back and I was like, hey, my dad taught me yoga this weekend in 5th grade or something.
Somebody else told me that.
Detention.
About yoga being okay. Yeah, so Om is like the sound of the universe.
It is, yes.
And so religiously, I guess, yoga could be an expression of religion. But I think it's all on how you take it.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, to me, it's just one of those things where however you express yourself, I mean, you can be any version of whatever you want to think or believe. It's all on how you express yourself.
Yeah.
So,
and they did not like people expressing themselves at that Christian school. It was a very strict school, not quite Catholic school level strict. I mean, they weren't wrapping us with rulers or anything, but
we didn't have that either. I think that time had passed by the time I was in the.
Fortunately.
Yeah, I am a little older, but not that old.
Yeah. So that's kind of what colored my younger years. And then I went to SCAD for animation, which obviously I'm not currently.
Shout out to SCAD.
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 We love SCAD. SCAD has revolutionized the art, I think, art industry, especially art education.
It has. Yeah.
I mean, because when they started off, they were kind of like just a little old school in Savannah.
Yeah.
And now they're international.
It's amazing how
there
quickly
are millions
they grew.
of SCAD people.
And they're still leading the city.
Well, but they in a good way, I think. I mean, because they have changed the architecture and the land structures, I guess, of the. I'm saying this a little awkwardly. I don't know why, but I think they've done a lot of good for the city.
Yeah, well, they take dilapidated old buildings and make them safe to use and useful. But
Savannah's going through a huge period of gentrification right now. Anybody listening? So and I think we could do a better job as a city to take care of the people that are being gentrified.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Oh, Savannah. I do love it here, though. When I went to SCAD, I ended up staying.
That's what happens to people. That's what happens. They come here and then they never leave.
Yeah, it's just a nice city. You've got the history, you've got the beautiful architecture, you've got the oak trees, which I'm very allergic to. But that's what antihistamines are for, right?
Me too. I'm like, that's you.
So I ended up staying here after I got my animation degree because I found out I didn't really want to work, long hours in a studio for minimum wage. And I worked for myself for a little while, and then we started Cosmic Corner, which is our metaphysical shop in town. And
so let's talk about that.
Yeah.
Let's talk about that. You have a tarot set that you designed, right?
Yes.
By yourself?
Yes, I
Anybody
illustrated
else helped you?
Nope.
See, that's the number one question people ask. I didn't know if maybe you and your husband had worked together on it.
No, he did his own, actually. My husband, Zach Loop, he actually has a tarot deck, too, that he's doing a Kickstarter for soon called Infinite Loop Tarot.
Let's talk about that Kickstarter and the whole crowdfunding thing.
Yes, I've done a lot of it.
Yeah. So, the good, the bad, the ugly with it, right?
Yeah.
The ugly part I've seen with Kickstarter and crowdfunding and stuff is like where people don't follow through and they don't deliver, or they just fall off the face of the earth.
Yeah.
Like they take the money and run. There's a video game that I bought last year, and it was supposed to be out in spring this year.
Yeah.
And they keep putting out the dev emails saying, "Oh, we're working on it." I'm like, that's great and all, but shouldn't you have put out a base game by now?
Yeah.
And then added content? To me, I don't like that. I mean, I'm a big indie supporter, huge indie supporter, but that's the ugly part about it. Now, the good thing about it is you get cool stuff like what you have.
Yeah.
Did you kickstart your?
I did. I kickstarted mine because it was lots of upfront costs to print them.
Oh, yeah. Printing is expensive.
Very expensive.
Especially when you have quality.
Yes.
You can get cheap prints cheap. When you want quality,
Yeah.
you have to dive in and pay the big bucks.
Oh yeah, and it's got a really nice box for Tarot in Space with gilded edges and everything. So it's really
Gilded
high quality.
edges?
Yes.
Really?
Yeah,
Gold or
gilded.
silver?
They're silver. I brought it with me.
I am such a big fan of Victorian style gilding.
Yes. Yeah, it's very popular in the tarot deck community
Oh,
now.
I love
to
it
have,
with books. I love it with books. Like the
gilded
new
edges.
faux antique books that they have.
Yes. There you go.
May I touch them, or is that like
Yeah,
would I
go
taint
for
it?
it.
Like
I mean,
I don't want to. I don't. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Look, it's got the Bastion. Look at this. It's got the.
they're holographic.
I was gonna say it looks like a hologram.
Yeah, it's not just silver; it's holographic silver.
Dude,
yeah.
do you remember the toys and stuff from the 80s that they had the hologram toys?
Yes.
Oh my god, it was so cool.
Love holographic stuff.
All
It's
right,
very
do
space.
you read cards?
I do. Yes, I actually read them professionally at my shop.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you think we have time to do a reading today?
Today, right now on the air? Yeah.
Why not? Why
Yeah.
not? I mean, like, what else are we doing?
I don't know, but we could probably. We'll see.
Let's do that. We'll do that in a little bit.
Okay.
Or we'll do that in a little bit because I honestly love your artwork.
Thank
I love. We met peripherally through a mutual friend, Rebecca Hamrick, sent me your book.
Oh yes.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I messaged you and I was like, hey, how are you? And I just wanted to. And you came up to my book signing for the thing. So we met in person then for my What the Night Taught Me at E. Shaver Booksellers, which I love E. Shavers.
Yes, they're wonderful.
And you're doing your book signing this week, right?
Yeah, Saturday, the 14th.
What
Yeah.
time?
The same time.
1 to
Yours?
3?
1 to 3?
Okay.
No, 3 to 4.
3 to 4?
3 to 4.
Okay, yeah, because mine was
Yes.
going to be 1 to 3, and then it got bumped to 4 to 6 on that Friday.
Yes.
And
yeah.
which I think was a really good fit.
Yeah.
So
I think I'm doing it 3 to 4.
You got a Facebook event, right, for it?
There's a Facebook event, yes.
Okay.
That's
And
something I should know.
that's going to be for the Audacity.
Yes, for the Audacity. It is actually 1 to 3.
1 to
Yeah,
3.
it's right
Okay.
the first time.
Now, E-Shavers, E-Shaver, I keep putting an S on there for some reason.
Because their email has an S.
Okay.
That's why.
Well, they are so awesome.
They are.
I'm telling you, they have been such a big support for me. I put a book out, a novella last year called Blood Thrasher, The Devil's in the Metal. And I think before you came on live, we were talking a little bit about I'm working on my second book.
Second novel.
And I put it out last year, and I didn't really, I didn't do anything as far as like locally trying to promote it or whatever. And with this poetry book, I was like, you know what? I'm going to reach out to them, and I'm going to see if they'd be interested in doing a book signing. It was instant. It was
Yeah.
like they emailed me back like the next day. Miriam emailed me back, and she said, yeah, we'd love to have it. And so now with the Word Beat Poetry, I'm going to be doing it with them again in January.
Awesome.
And we're setting up something where we're doing it quarterly, where we're going to have like a kind of like a poetry hour.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
they're great.
they're awesome. They're so awesome.
I actually started, before I opened my business, I started a feminist book club with them. And then I dropped off the face of the earth because I opened my business and I could not do it anymore.
Time. It's always time, right?
Yeah, and the books were feminist theory. They were thick. They were dense. They were like, I had to look at the dictionary every once in a while.
I'm a feminist in practice, I guess, because I love women. And I try to promote, the fair and equal treatment of women.
And I wanted to learn more about feminist theory and, the waves of feminism.
I don't know what the male version is either. I just think people should be treated fairly.
Yeah, and equality, gender equality.
Yeah. And give me a second here. Let me do a station announcement. You are listening to WRUU-LP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings Community Radio with Global Soul. So just real quick, a sidebar. I believe that we should actively try to do our best as far as racial and gender equality, and try to do our best to, when we see discrimination, to stand up towards it,
right,
and say, hey, this isn't right.
Yeah.
And there are consequences for it, because the system doesn't like that.
Right.
They don't like when you do things that are out of the ordinary, or you stand up, or you use your voice against racism or whatever. There are people out there that will try to crush you.
Yeah.
They'll try to destroy you because you're against us, and blah, blah. And I think we see a lot of that in today's political climate. And this show's not about politics, but I love the fact that you had a feminist book club.
Yes.
So you fell off the face of the earth because you opened your shop, and the shop is called again?
Cosmic Corner Savannah.
Where is that located?
905 Abercorn Street, side door on Bolton near Forsyth Park.
And the easiest way to get there from Abercorn is? Just
go straight down Abercorn, going south until you see Bolton Street, and park near there. You'll see our purple door.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that was not an advertisement.
That was definitely not an advertisement. I just have that voice.
We're a non-commercial radio station, but I do. The thing is, it's like we're indies. You got to put your stuff out there. Yeah, without being salesy or whatever. It's just you got to let people know, hey, this is what I'm doing.
Yeah.
So you did the shop. When did you open the shop?
Opened the shop about 2 years ago in February.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been going really well. We have a nice little community growing. We get regulars coming in. Shout out to John Trail, who's there like every single day buying stuff. I love her. But yeah, we've got our regulars now. We have tea. We've got crystals and books. And yeah, it's just a really nice thing to do. Also do tarot readings there. So it's a decent amount of income. It works. It's a good job.
Tell me more about how you decided to do, and how you and your husband both decided to do, not only your own tarot book or deck, but also the crowdfunding part. Because you started telling me about, and I think I interrupted you, and I'm sorry.
That's okay.
But you started telling me about one of the obstacles was printing costs. So tell me more about that.
Yeah, it's expensive. That's why I had to do the Kickstarter. Initially, I got into tarot thanks to Dame Darcy, who's also a local creator. She's a comic artist. She's been around for, she was really big in the 90s for her comic Meat Cake, which is so much fun. It's so interesting. So check her out, damedarcy.com. She kind of mentored me for a while.
Maybe she can come on the show.
She might be. Yeah, I'm sure she'd love to.
I love having different people from Savannah come on.
I will connect you two up because I think she would. I think she'd enjoy that. Yeah, she's fun. She's a mermaid. She's a very interesting personality, and I just adore her. And she did a tarot deck, and that inspired me then to do my own tarot deck too. We have since gone our separate ways because I've got my own business to take care of and stuff. But I'm always very grateful to her giving me kind of my start there. So when I started to do my tarot deck, I realized that I wanted to get a big stock of really nice decks because I knew I would have, more profit on the back end if you get a bunch up front because you can, they're a little bit cheaper when you get a ton up front. So that's why I did a Kickstarter.
But then you have product
Yeah.
You have to sell that product.
Yes.
You can't just sit on it.
Yeah. It's been selling slowly but surely. It's getting out of here. So.
I have done like short orders for my hard copies of my paperbacks.
Yes. Yeah.
Just because the cost associated with it, you know. I haven't done any pre-sales or anything like that with people or, you know, whatever. But yeah, you have to, as an indie, one of the things you have to think about is product.
Storing that.
Your end product, you know, the finished product that you're going to sell to people.
Yeah.
Or, you know, you give away a lot of stuff, you know, you give stuff away as promo. You know, to me, like I'll send somebody a copy of my book or whatever that might be interested. The last person I gave a copy to was my aunt. She said, "I'd like to read your poetry book." I just gave her a copy. So, you know, you have different things, but there's some things, you know, that you do that are promo items, and there are other things that are like, no, you know.
Yeah,
and
you really
today's,
have to factor it in.
Oh yeah, today's culture, there are a lot of social media influencers that want stuff for free, and you kind of, you know, you have to pick and choose.
Yeah,
you have to say, hey, you know, I don't know, because what's the return on investment for a lot of this stuff?
If if they're really good with social media, it's worth it. Definitely. But you gotta know who you're talking
stuff,
with.
Yeah. I don't know. I've seen a lot of bogus stuff out there where they're like, oh, we can get you 5 million followers. That's cool.
Yeah.
Well, how many of those followers are actually readers?
Yeah. You got to be careful with that.
I don't want, you know, like I have a small email list that I started up. I have 18 people on my email list that I started up a couple weeks ago. Something new for me. I haven't done an email list before. But those people are solid. Yeah. Those are like the people that are, you know, and even out of my solid people, I only had like 12 of them read the email because they give you stats on like what you have, and you know, 12 out of 18. That's a good percentage. But you know, even people are busy. Yeah. People have lives. Yeah. You know, people. You know, like you said with Dame, you kind of fall off the face of the earth.
Yeah, Dame Darcy.
Yeah, and you know, it happens. You know, you have different priorities.
Yeah.
So you put out your book. Now, how long did it take you to do the book, to write it, to produce it?
So this has been kind of in the works for about a decade, honestly.
What are you, like 12? I mean, come on. I thought you were you've been writing since you were like 2.
I'm 24, I believe. I was born in 1995, so you do the math.
95.
Yeah.
Oh, I had graduated. I was already at high school for like a year.
Oh, Jiminy. Okay.
Yeah. I was super old, everybody. Well, I'm not really super old, but I was. It's so funny because I graduated in 94, and then I moved to Savannah in 96.
I wasn't even born yet.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I between middle school and high school is when I really started thinking I wanted to be a writer. So I read The Princess Bride by William Goldman.
That's my son's favorite movie.
Heck yes, yeah.
He actually wanted to buy a new copy of it because our other one got scratched up, so he got a new copy.
Yes, it is the best. I love the book too. And that's it was so different. The writing was so unique. And
no question for that.
Yeah.
And I'm probably wrong here, but wasn't the movie put out first and then the book?
No.
Or the book and then the movie?
The book was written by William Goldman, and then William Goldman actually wrote the screenplay too.
No, was he the guy that was in Archie Bunker? No.
I don't think so.
I don't think.
No, he never acted. William Goldman.
Nice thing about having a phone is we can Google it.
Yeah. He did a lot of screenplay writing. He did Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid was his other big hit. He did Misery, the movie, not the novel, obviously. That was Stephen King. But yeah, and he really inspired me to write. And then I read The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy right after that, thanks to my then boyfriend, Mark. And oh my gosh, I love The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy too. But both of those books were really white, straight, male-centric. And I'm not any of those things. So I decided, why don't I write a book about people who are like me? So I did. I wrote, humor sci-fi with, I started it 10 years ago, and it just evolved. For a while, it was a comic, and then I realized I don't like doing comics. And then I went to animation school, and it was an animation. And I did a short film with music by Jared Claxton, my brother-in-law, actually. about it, and that wasn't very good. I don't recommend watching it.
So the real quick,
Yes.
The Princess Bride is a 1973 fantasy novel, romance novel by American writer William Goldman. The book combines elements of comedy, adventure, fantasy, romantic love, romance, and a fairy tale. It is presented as an abridgment of a longer work by S. Morgenstern, and Goldman's commentary asides are constant throughout. It was originally published in the United States by Harcourt Brace and later Random House. While in the United Kingdom, it was published at Bloomsbury. So...
It's metafiction because he says that S. Morgenstern wrote it and he's just abridging it. And that was so different. You know, I'd never read anything where he's making up this entire history for this book.
You know, there is a version of Dracula like that.
Really?
Yeah.
An abridged version of Dracula?
No,
Or is it...
there's an Icelandic version of Dracula where it was translated, and let me see if I can pull it up real quick. But when Bram Stoker originally published Dracula, it was a little too much for the publisher. They thought it was too gory for the public.
Ooh.
So they made him edit it out heavily.
Yeah.
And when he sent in England, that was where the contract was. So when he sent it out around the world, it was up to him to publish it around the world, and it was translated in where is it at? The Icelandic. But basically, it was a version that the guy, pretty much when he wrote it, it was a loose interpretation of the book, so it's almost like its own separate version of the book. And it's called Powers of Darkness. But we had Bram Stoker's great grandnephew, Dacker Stoker, on here.
What?
And he was one of the guests there.
Oh, that's crazy.
He actually helped write the foreword for the book. But here's a picture of it. It's called Powers of Darkness.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, shoot. Sorry. I thought I had a picture for you.
I saw it vaguely before it. Oh, there it is. Okay.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
But it was the Icelandic version has been retranslated into English, and it's so crazy because it cuts out a lot of the Victorian fluff. And it goes it has a lot more seedy romance and, like, you know, vampires type stuff. But yeah, I always thought it was kind of weird how it's almost like the telephone game. You know, like if I were to tell someone a story about your book, you know, and I were to write a version of your book, you know, so.
Yeah, that was really interesting to translate something into a different language and then translate it again back.
Yeah. And I think it's neat too, with that. Look, we have so much fan fiction out today. And
oh yeah.
Yeah, so that's what it kind of reminds me of is that's not necessarily fan fiction, but you know, when someone like Jessica Brody, she did Sky Without Stars. And it's an updated version of Les Mis.
So
it's kind of like a reinterpretation of a story.
So I have a question for you.
Yeah.
Have you ever written fan fiction?
No. Never wrote any fan fiction.
Nothing juicy there. Okay.
No,
that's more my generation, I think.
You know, about the closest that ever came to fan fiction was I used to be part of a Transformers.
Okay, yeah. Robots
fan board.
and
Yeah,
that
one.
Okay.
I was a big, it came out in 1984. I was like in third grade. But yeah, there was a kind of like an online role playing game we had on the forums where we would pick a character and then we would role play that character.
That's a form of fan fiction.
Yeah, it is, but it's not like we didn't write different stories. We wrote like okay, whatever. But it is kind of like fan fiction.
A lot of modern writers have gotten their start now with fan fiction, I think.
Yeah. Well, as long as you understand when. Okay, now we're gonna have to do a break here in a second.
Okay.
But I'm gonna be really staunch about intellectual property. I do not like the people that go to conventions and they sell $20 prints of characters that they don't own.
Oh yeah.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
I think I just really don't like it. I think it's a big ripoff. I think that they're stealing.
Well, some companies are okay with it. Cartoon Network has, kind of given the go-ahead to do.
That's fine.
Yeah.
I'm not talking about those people.
Yeah.
I'm talking about the people that have 40 feet walls of posters that they're selling of characters that they don't have the rights to.
Yeah.
So, but I am cool with fan fiction.
Mm-hmm. Well, you don't do that for money. So,
No.
You don't do it for fame either.
Let's take a little break here. I'm going to do a couple of announcements. You are listening to WRUU-LP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings Community Radio with Global Soul. My special guest today is Laura Loup, and she wrote the Audacity. You also have your shop. What's your shop again?
Cosmic Corner Savannah.
I just like hearing you say that. Cosmic Corner Savannah. And so here we go. The Frank Cullen Boys and Girls will present Ballers Don't Take Shots, They Make Goals, an interactive anti-drug event for young people ages 11 to 19 featuring basketball, music, comedy, fitness, yoga, and free lunch on Saturday, September the 14th from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Club on Charlton Street in Savannah. For more information, find Frank Cullen on eventbrite.com. Pinpoint Seafood Festival. Sweet Field of Eden Baptist Church presents the 7th annual Pinpoint Seafood Festival on Saturday, September 14th from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. on Pinpoint Avenue near Savannah. This event celebrates the history and culture of the century-old Gullah Geechee community with music and food. To find out more, visit pinpointseafoodfestival.net. And the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention will present the 5th annual Out of the Darkness Walk, raising awareness and funds to invest in our new research, create educational programs, advocate for public policy, and support survivors of suicide loss. This event will take place on Saturday, September 21st at 9 a.m. at Lake Mare Community Park in Savannah. For more information, call 404-275-3316. And on that last one, on the suicide, anybody that's out there listening, if you are having suicidal thoughts, reach out to somebody. Talk to somebody, because you are loved. People do love you. And give me a second. I'll tell you the phone number you can call. You can always call me at 912-667-3696. Call me and text me and say, hey, man, I need to talk to somebody. But there is actually a hotline that you can call, too. Give me 1 second here. National. I'm looking it up for y'all. I'm sorry. I don't have it pre-programmed on my new phone. This is...
Oh, I got it.
You got it?
National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. Call 1-800-273-8255.
Can you say that one more time?
Yes. Call 1-800-273-8255. That's the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I think it's so important. I actually share that from time to time, just as a reminder. And the reason why I put my phone number out there to people, not like I want a bunch of weird calls, but... you never know when someone might need to talk to someone about thoughts that they're having, especially when you have depression and things don't go your way in life. And, there's another side out on the other side of the wall of the darkness. So there is life after that. Yeah. Just saying. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Laura, for helping me with that.
No problem.
I'm just getting used to my new,
thumbs.
yeah. I'm getting used to this new iPhone.
That's all right. That's all right.
Bastion, would you play us some more music, please? Yeah, thank you. All right, everybody, this is Sebastian Messer. That was awesome, Sebastian. Thank you. All right. So Laura, we have been talking a little bit about your stuff. Okay, it is 4:35. Can we do a reading?
Yeah.
Let me turn your mic back on. Sorry.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, now I'm on.
I'm sorry. I turned it off for the music.
Oh, you silenced me.
Okay. All right. I don't know how to do this. I've never done this before, so you have to walk me through it.
It's going to be a little difficult because we've got a whole soundboard between us, but...
Can we use this flat area right here? Or no?
It might slide. It's a little bit... They're a little slippery. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to have you draw a card.
Can we use this?
Yes.
Okay. All right. We're going to do a little step-by-step. Laura's shuffling the cards.
Yes. So right now I'm shuffling the cards.
And can you walk us through like what you do?
Yeah, of course.
You don't have to tell us all your secrets, but I've never, Now I have to tell you this much: my grandmother she didn't read tarot cards, but she read. I think I messaged you this, but she read some playing deck cards, and my grandmother Greta was. She just always had like a really good gift of insight. So to hear the shuffling of the cards there.
Hearing the shuffling of the cards.
And these are beautifully designed and just they're so gorgeous.
All right. So shuffle the cards up for you. And now...
And everybody, this is not pre-scripted. This is live radio at its finest. And she's putting them on the soundboard here.
They're a little slippery. They are matte, though, so they're not as slippery as some cards.
They're really nice.
Okay. Now... pick a card, any card. So it's going to be your today card. We'll just do one for today. Great.
Okay, so I picked a card.
So your card for today is the moon.
The moon.
Yeah, and it is upright for you. So the moon card, since the folks at home can't see it, is typically represented with a wolf and a dog on either side of a stream. And there's usually like a lobster coming out of the stream representing... things that are unseen, and then of course you have the moon. In this version, it's Space Wolf and Laika, who is actually a Russian dog who was sent to space at the very beginning of the space program over there. Okay. Poor Laika did not make it back, but so this is in honor of Laika as the moon card. So what this means for you today, now this is a major arcana card, so this is a pretty important time in your life right now. And it represents there are things working kind of in the undertow. There are things the universe is kind of bringing together for you at this time that aren't necessarily visible to you right now, but things are kind of coming together. So even if you don't see where things are coming together, there's stuff happening underneath. That's cool. That reminds me kind of like a lava under the magnetic Earth's crust or whatever. Well, not the magnetic Earth's crust. That sounds weird. The lava underneath the Earth's the magma or whatever. Core. Yeah, the molten core. Yeah. So there's stuff going on that will come to light. Was that it? So. Yeah, just for a quick, one card reading. Yeah, usually at my shop I start with 3 card readings. Yeah. But there we usually have a little bit more space to do like spreads. Okay, cool. So that's a little taste of what it's like. It's just a sample. Yeah. That's neat. What got you into reading tarot cards? Well, Dame Darcy actually did about 5 years ago or so when I started working for her, and she started mentoring me because she did tarot readings. Oh, okay. So she taught me how to do it. And then I started doing it for customers at Escape Savannah, where we both worked at the time, which is an escape room, an award-winning escape room, actually. Gotcha. Did you know that we are an award-winning radio show? Yes. Not show, but the radio station. Connect Savannah. Yeah, we won best local radio station and best talk radio station. Yeah. Yeah. So you're on an award-winning radio station today. That's awesome. Talking about your cool stuff. Yeah. So that's when I started reading tarot about 5 years ago, and then I illustrated my original tarot in space, which was not as pretty and did not do as well. I did Indiegogo for that, and I got like a quarter maybe of the funding. It wasn't. It didn't go as well. And then I used what I learned from that, and I completely reinvented it for Tarot in Space Edition 2. That's the cool thing about it. You build off of things. This new deck is really nice. I mean, like the hologram gilding or whatever on it's so cool. Thanks. The artwork
I mean, you have probably hundreds of hours of artwork in there.
Oh yeah, 800.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, you
800
can
hours.
tell, and it reminds me of like anime style.
Well, it's more
Sequential
Western
art.
animation style.
Yeah.
Yeah, but so yeah, I you've got Western animation and you've got your anime, which is Japanese animation.
Yeah.
I usually tend more towards the Western animation. So.
Isn't it neat how anime was a takeoff of American cartoons, and then American cartoons are a takeoff of anime?
Oh yeah. We share a lot of stuff. Things come over. We nibble at different bits.
What's the difference between Western animation and anime? Because your stuff reminds me of like anime.
Right. Well, there are quite a few different stylistically speaking. Anime is actually, it's Japan. When they animate in Japan, it's anime. So it's usually more for adults. And they do it more like soap opera fast. So like one a week, they do not have time to actually animate. So it's more like a moving comic book. Or like a moving manga. That's it.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I don't know much about
that's cool.
about the Eastern animation stuff. But yeah, it's less animated and more stylized.
Okay.
Western animation grew up from Mickey Mouse and Disney and that sort of thing. It's got more rounded edges usually with your Cartoon Network stuff. But now recent stuff, things like Steven Universe have taken some cues from anime. So there are some things that kind of blend over, and
that's cool.
Yeah, it's a blending.
So, 800 hours. How long did that take you to do? A couple years?
2 years.
2 years.
Yeah, I worked for like average about 20 hours a week on it. I would stay at Foxy Loxy or the Foundry, and I would just set up for all evening, take up one of their tables all evening, which was awful of me.
I actually, I know that might sound cliche, but I love to go to the front porch and pool and write and draw.
That's a cool place.
Yeah, and I just sit up in a little table and I get my they have a sugar-free frozen frap that I like to get.
Yeah.
And I don't know. There's just something about it. I just like having like a different space to do things in.
Yeah. When I'm home, I always want to clean or something. So.
Yeah. Well, it is kind of neat though. I like to draw. I've been drawing since I was a little kid. And talking about comic books, I've got an idea that I've been working on. It's weird about being a self-taught indie, and one of the nice things I get to do as a radio show host and then freelancer for the Savannah Morning News is I get to talk to really creative people, and I ask them about their process, and I talk to them about what they've done. So I've been working on I don't know how to say it, but right now I've been working on the story for the cartoon comic book
your script.
I'm not really sure which way I want to go. If I want to do more like kind of like I don't even know what the name of it is, but like Marvel type DC sequential art, or if I want to do more of I kind of like the cartoon character art too.
Yeah.
I bought this book. It was like drawing cartoon characters. So I've always liked cartoon characters too.
It's just levels of stylization.
Yeah, but I'm not really sure which way I want to go. This comic book's kind of like a fantasy Viking novel. The character started off as being like a dragon slayer, but now he's going to chase down a necromancer that wiped out his family. But I don't know. It's one of those things. I've thought about putting it out through. They have Comixology.
Yes, I've heard of that.
Yeah, it's through Amazon. But I also thought about doing like this guy Terry Dremel that was on here. He self-published his comic book, and it's kind of like a Mad Magazine style.
I saw that. Yeah,
I love Terry's stuff. Yeah, you met him at the book signing.
It was very interesting.
Yeah,
very
and unique. I don't know. I've always enjoyed that kind of indie feel to things.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. That's how Dame Darcy started. She would Xerox her zines.
Yeah.
Back in the 90s, and that's how she, got where she is today. She's a published author, pretty well known, and
it's cool. I actually worked at Kinko's when I first moved here in '97.
Yeah.
And
when Kinko still existed.
I know, off of Abercorn, and we would have people come in. Like I worked the third shift, and we'd have people come in, getting all kinds of stuff ready for their finals and things like
Right.
that. And that was like one of the few places you could actually get copies any time of the day or night
Yeah.
back in the day. So, okay, tell me more about your new book. Tell me about it.
The Audacity.
Yes.
Oh,
The
about
Audacity.
the Audacity. It's
So you were saying earlier that you wanted to write and be more representative of someone like yourself. Tell us how that interweaves into your story.
right. So
'Cause what does that mean? What does
Like,
it mean?
for me, it means a lot of books. No offense. no,
No.
a lot of authors are white males. Or
Well,
straight
actually,
white
not
male.
really.
Yeah.
Not so much anymore.
Not anymore.
But that's the perception.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially, in the sci-fi community.
Yeah.
You don't see a lot of female authors in the sci-fi section of the bookstore, even today. Now, in the romance section, yeah. In the YA section, it's almost all female authors.
Mm-hmm.
But when you go over to sci-fi, you have really very few. So especially comedy, because there's still that stigma about funny women. Either women can be funny or they can be pretty. They can't be both. Women shouldn't be funny. And
What about being pretty funny?
yeah,
Can they be pretty funny?
I think I'm pretty funny.
Yeah. You can call me whatever you want. Just don't call me late for dinner. Dun, dun. Let me do a station announcement. You're listening to WRUU LP Savannah, Georgia, 107.5 FM, WRUU.org. We are Savannah Soundings Community Radio with Global Soul. So this is an issue, and not just with cis white males or whatever. It's also, there's not a lot of representation with people of color. I have a friend, Leidra Hurt. You know Allie.
I love Allie.
Yeah, Allie's awesome.
Hi, Allie.
She is doing, she's in a couple different groups that are called Black Spec Fiction groups.
Yeah.
Because, even with the representation, there's even a smaller percentage of people that are people of color that are in that genre being represented.
Yeah.
Tongue tied.
As authors.
So I think it's cool that, so you are a sci-fi humorist. That's what you described. Humorologist.
Yes,
Oh,
which is
Lord.
not a word.
My
I
ball.
made it up.
That's great. Shakespeare
Yes.
made up a lot of words.
Very serious humorologist.
Very serious. So, what does that mean, though? I mean, like, what does it mean? People don't understand what it means. Like, say it louder for the people in the back.
It means that the other day I spent 4 hours trying to figure out what was funnier, Big Mouth Billy Bass or Scary Santa mugs. Literally 4 hours of research.
Did you see these at a thrift shop?
Yeah. It was antique store, but yes. Yeah.
I think Billy Bass might have come out about the same time you were born.
Yes. He actually won. Big Mouth Billy Bass is going to be a pretty big feature in my second book.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah.
There we go. See, that's inside information nobody gets to see, but right here.
Yeah.
Right
You
here.
heard it first
You
on
heard it first.
WRUU.
The Adam Messer Show. The Adam Messer Show.
Yeah, so I just like, having fun and being myself, and, being feminine, but also not being afraid to play with some masculinity and just,
Taoism,
what is gender?
We are both, right?
Exactly. Yeah, I really just like to eschew gender roles and just do what's fun and what makes me happy.
I think people get defensive today about topics about sexism and sex and gender and things like that, and I think that's because a lot of stereotypical things, a lot of ignorance is a good word to put it, but a lack of information and hype.
Yeah.
I don't like using the word media, but it people talk about fake news and things like that, and I think when you sit down at the table and people are talking, you find out that people are very similar. They have a lot of the same interests and same things. I'm not talking about agenda pushers. I'm not talking about people that are like the loudest ones in the room that are like, hey, look at me, victim. No, I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about like the sincere, like, hey, I'm just trying to push my thing out in the world, and put it out there and say, hey, check this out. If you don't like it, that's not a problem. It's not, I'm not saying it has to be for you. you know, and I think we need more of those voices, you know, being put out there.
I'm not a very serious person, and I'm
Yeah.
dealing with a lot of very serious issues, things
Yeah.
like, you know, sexuality and gender. And my main character, May, I am a white woman, just so you know. My main character, May, is mixed race, but that's not my issue to share. She just is mixed race. That's just who she is, and I wanted to, you know, have that in my book because that's who she is to me. But it's not. I'm not here to talk about the issues and do the serious work and that sort of thing.
Right.
Because there are so many wonderful people who are doing that already. And I support them and I will help them and share their cause and their names and everything like that. But for me, it's just normalizing. For me, I want to see, like, I think everything should have characters who are just queer. And, you know, they don't have to, it doesn't have to be an issue. It's just, you know, there are queer people out there, and and everything should have good, strong female characters too. You know, it's just normalizing for me. That's what I like to do. I like to normalize things. You know, my character Zan, he goes by male pronouns, but he's not actually male. He's not a man, and he does bring it up, but it's kind of as a joke. It's just like, you know, I'm an alien, not a man.
An alien.
Yeah.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, he's a Tunshin, specifically. He's not really a man, because May does the thing a lot of women do, where that's like, oh, men, you know, not at him, at someone else. And then she says, no offense, and he's like, none taken. I'm not a man.
Right.
So just, you know, normalizing stuff is what's important to me.
Well, that's the thing too, is there are people out there that are trying to be offensive and try to attack people. You know, there are. I'm not going to deny that there are, and there's also people that get really offended easily.
Yeah.
You know, when you talk about normalization, I think it's a good way to put it. It's just saying, hey, this
We're
is a
here.
different. Yeah, this is just something that, you know, is different to you.
Yeah.
But it's normal to us.
Yeah.
So,
Exactly.
you know, and I have a lot of different friends that are different writers and authors and artists and musicians, and, you know, everybody's got their own thing. You know, I think that's, as long as you're not infringing on other people, you know, do your thing.
Yeah. And I think a lot of people stay reserved because they're scared. Like, you know, they grew up strictly feminine. They're scared of being thought of as a lesbian, or they're scared of being too masculine. And there's no reason to be scared of that. So
Yeah, I saw something the other day that this guy posted. I thought it was so weird. The guy posted, like, if chivalry is dead, feminism killed it. I was like, you know, you can still, like, I can still be
Big yikes.
polite. I can still be like, you know, I can still be masculine. I don't have to be effeminate.
Yeah.
You know, I can be masculine and have friends that are queer or gay or whatever.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that they look at me differently. And I think that's what a lot of people don't understand, is like, you don't have to be that thing that they are to get along with them and to be friends with them.
True.
You don't have to say, well, you know, I'm a male. I'm not a whatever. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I think that's the bottom line. It's like, you know, when you look at people are people, you have the human condition. We share a lot of the same feelings and thoughts and desires, and, you know, it's just, it's different. It's not what you're doing.
Yeah.
It's just different from what you're doing. That's all.
Diversity is the spice of life. So
I think, getting to know other people is important.
yeah.
You know, it kind of gives you like a viewpoint and say, hey, well, that's kind of cool.
Yeah. But I always want, you know, to help people feel more comfortable in expressing themselves the way they want to express themselves.
Yeah.
So, you know, the fear of looking masculine if you're a woman, or looking feminine if you're a man, that sort of stuff, you don't need to be afraid of it.
No.
Because there's nothing wrong with a man wearing lipstick, stuff like that, or wearing nail
whatever
polish.
they want to do.
You can still be a man and wear nail polish. It's totally fine.
Yeah, it's whatever they want to do.
Yeah, and I just want to depict characters doing that and just loving their lives and having fun. Yeah. So
Where can people find your stuff
Yeah, you can go to Laura Loup. That's Loop as in soup, LOUP.com. And Loop as in soup.
That's your new catchphrase.
That's my new catchphrase. Thanks to my
Loop
husband.
as in
for that.
soup.
Loop as in soup.
.com.
Yeah, so everything.
LauraLoup.com, right?
Yeah, LauraLoup.com.
And they can come to your book signing, which is going to be this next coming Saturday?
Yeah, Saturday, September 14th at 1 o'clock at East Shaver downtown. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'll have copies of my book, and I'll probably bring my tarot deck, too, to sell. So
that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show today, Laura. I can't believe it's already been an hour.
It flew by.
I know. It's just been crazy.
It rocketed by, as I should say.
Yeah. Oh, gosh, that's awesome. And everybody out there, if you're doing your thing, keep doing your thing. I think that's one of the biggest things that I like to share, is just be you, be you, do you, and don't be afraid to be you. So, all right, Laura, thank you so much for being on the show.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, everybody, up next is Savannah at Night. So stay tuned.
Japanese finger-picking style guitarist Hiroya Tsukamoto on Sunday, October 6th at 4 p.m. at the church on Troop Square in Savannah. For more information, visit uusavannah.org.